in December because of the holidays, and somewhere in here I need a break. But the plans still are, I was talking to the library before we started, is we will be back again next year. That'll be 4 years. It's pretty cool. And I think we'll see most, if not all, of these folks up here again. Right, Bella?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Like what?
But,
You said it was for you.
and, oh no, we talked about this. We
What?
this year.
I think I've missed a conversation here.
And we're gonna look for the UFO guys to come back. Hi,
Hello.
how's everybody?
Good.
Good. But we're gonna see if we can get a UFO folks coming back and do those kind of things. Anyway, the way I figured is I have a bunch of people, and I'll let them introduce themselves because they know themselves better than I do. How's that sound? But what I figured is I got a bunch of questions here, and I'm sure you guys have some questions or some stories or some things you want to ask these folks, and they're willing to answer to the best of their abilities. And these are the best people I know, so.
You need to get out more.
So anyway, Frank, if you'd start.
I'm Frank Cinelli, aka Dr. Spectre. I write for TAP's Paranormal magazine. I do alternative health. I've been investigating the paranormal long time, officially since the 80s, but as a kid I was
1880?
Yes.
Okay.
I am paranormal. I've always had a fascination with anything that's out of that normal realm, whether it's ghosts or aliens, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster. I want to find it all. I'm here. I'm a member of Ghost Detectives, although I'm not wearing any Ghost Detectives gear today.
Sporting the home team tonight.
Well, yeah, it's,
Way to go, Bob. Way to support the team, Bob. You got yours, Bob? Yeah.
Rob never got one.
My team,
Rob didn't get one.
showing their support. I love you, man.
supporting House Slytherin.
Okay.
So yeah, that's it about me.
World famous,
World famous?
internationally renowned,
Universally
universally loved, Bob Christopher
I hate
Lee.
that.
I'm Bob Christopher. I am with Ghost Detectives, the TV show. I have a group called NEPA Paranormal that I've run for 20 years or so. I build paranormal equipment for the paranormal community called Vortex Ghost Gear. I own that. By day, I'm an ordinary mechanic. I work for the LCTA bus company. And I've been into the paranormal for, God, since I was a kid. I grew up in a haunted house. It was probably one of the most haunted places I've ever been in my entire life, with all the places I've been. And that's pretty much it. I've investigated for almost 20 years now. Probably done close to 500 cases. But pretty much seen it all. Almost all. No demons
I was
yet.
gonna
I
say,
haven't
be
seen a demon
careful.
yet. But that's me.
I'm Kelly Miller. I use Frank's line, AKA Maven Medium from Light Visionaries Outreach. I have a Center for Holistic Healing out of Sealands Grove. We travel to do galleries and events and things like that. Assisted some paranormal teams. I'm a non-denominational minister, and by day I teach kindergarten, which is just as paranormal as anything that I've encountered with any of these. I have daily.
And Kelly, I have to apologize. I was doing a live on the way down, and I know because you were in the room. And
I
went
tried,
to,
but
I
I
went to say
froze.
where you were from,
Oh,
and it's like I always stumble over Outlook, Light,
Oh.
Visionary,
That's okay.
Angel.
Yeah. Just you try and maneuver that go.
So
No,
what
that's
was
it.
the name of that?
Light Visionaries Outreach. Yeah.
Thank you.
Isabella Clayton. I am an author, a artist, and a medium. I don't like labels because in the 70s I was called evil, so a psyche, medium. I see dead people. I also do spiritual healing with trying to help people with their soul journey, and so that's mostly what my readings are about. I help kids who are having night terrors, and then I'm also been lately helping people develop their abilities. And that's about it.
I'm Bob Bucko from Pennsylvania Bigfoot Investigations. We take sighting reports and investigate the area with that, and we also go out on our own and look for evidence. Jason and I started the group.
2003, just about 4 years now.
So your turn.
My turn? Okay. I'm Jason Talmadge, also with Pennsylvania Bigfoot Investigations, and here in eastern Pennsylvania, we probably documented over 50 Bigfoot sightings. This area around here in the Berwick area is a very active and hot area, and my other job is to get Bob lost in the woods.
And climb up mountains.
We climb up mountains and waterfalls and say, Bob, I bet you the trail goes this way. Let's go this way. Oh, we got to climb up a waterfall now because the trail ended.
My name is Rob Viars. I'm also with PDI. I grew up in Washington State. How I got into paranormal was actually saw these creatures when I was young, and since then I've been hooked. But I took a long break. I was in law enforcement for a long time, and I actually moved into a haunted house. And then I became friends with a group called the PPA. I joined the PPA for about 4 years, and did a show called Haunted for a little bit. And then with the PPA, I kind of did traveling work, so I actually left the group for a little bit, and now I stay home, and I joined the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Investigations, and so I've been doing this now. So I've had a good 8-year run in paranormal investigations, plus my law enforcement experience.
So, varied amount of experience.
Where do each of you come from?
My mother.
I knew it. I knew it. After I said it, I knew it.
That's
I knew it
Bob
together with
Christopher.
I am from a
Some
little
people
town-
don't believe that.
I'm from a little town in Washington State called Centralia, Washington. I know this is Centralia, Pennsylvania, but yes, I grew up in Centralia, Washington. It's a logging town, Washington State, and I moved out here when I married my wife almost 20 years ago. And now I just live on the mountain over here.
Oh, outside of Berwick.
Yes.
I'm from right outside of Wilkes-Barre, a little borough called Sawyersville.
I live in between Berwick and Bloomsbury and Lime Ridge.
Oh,
I'm from Arizona. I'm actually a third-generation native, which is unusual for Arizona. It's a very transient state. Came here 2 years ago.
I'm from Sealands Grove, so not too far.
I'm a Wilkes-Barre all my life.
I'm from Bangor, Pennsylvania, which is middle of nowhere, close to everything.
I've heard of Bangor.
You've heard of it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Uh,
Now you realize I won't remember any of that.
We're going to quiz you at the end of this.
you
Oh,
know,
and I had a question
See,
for
actually,
you.
we're asking help.
I have a question for you. You said you wrote with Taps in their magazine?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, you know, when they were on TV and all, I mean, I always watched them and everything.
Mhm.
I got in line to get the magazine, and they were all sold out always. I could never get one.
Paranormal Night?
I was disappointed.
It's, and I'm disappointed that, you know, somebody else didn't get to see my stuff. But, yeah, no, the magazine would always sell out very quickly. They would do very short runs of them. Then they did a digital version, so you can go online and get back issues. They stopped publication on the magazine. They put it up in hiatus for a little bit because the editor, J.B. Johnson, and Hawes, Jason, were doing this Beyond Reality Radio. Okay, so they have this radio network. They're trying to rival Coast to Coast, and they're actually all across the country. There's just got picked up by another 150 stations. So the magazine got put on hold for a while they developed this radio thing.
Another reason I went out was because I lived there at one time.
In Rhode Island.
Mhm.
I was just there over the weekend.
Yeah.
In
and,
Coventry.
so
Hmm?
it was when Quonset Point was there.
Okay,
You probably weren't even born yet.
but I've heard of it. I used to live in Massachusetts near a couple towns up from New Bedford. So, we would scoot over to Rhode
So I
Island
mean,
all the
I
time.
knew where this, where Tops was and everything, and
Yeah. Yeah, that office is gone now.
I was gonna say,
It's for
Bob,
I just found that out this year. I said, let's stop over to the taps office.
do they still have the office there?
No,
Yes, there's
there's
In
nothing there.
Warrington, what, isn't it Warrington, not Warrington,
Warwick.
Warwick, yes,
Yeah.
Warwick.
The building's there, but they're out of it. Yeah.
I'm actually glad I went because I got to see a vampire grave.
Yeah.
Right
That's
there,
right.
that was really cool.
Yeah.
In Rhode Island.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like right down the street from Warwick. That's all I can tell you because nothing happened. So it was cool.
You're a vampire.
Sometimes I think that.
well, that's kind of.
Did you hear the question over here?
Oh, sorry.
How'd you know it was a vampire grave?
Because we have an app and it said it was a vampire. Roadside America.
I wonder where he heard about Roadside America.
It's a good question.
Yeah,
That should be on the list.
it should be on the list. Where did you hear about Roadside America?
The one and only.
I like seeing those odd touristy attractions, so we
Yeah.
once drove 2.5 hours out of the way to see the Mystery Hole. It was closed. So, but yeah, all across, everywhere you go, there's these cool little things that are just kind of dying out. They're becoming like a dinosaur. And so I want to catch as many of them as I can before they disappear.
If you look on, if you're on the Facebook thing, there's Ghost Detectives Americana. And that's when we go out filming different places. Frank and his handy app find us these strange, like the world's largest tooth.
Yep.
War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds,
War
that
of
was
the
pretty
Worlds.
cool.
Right, where the aliens landed,
Where,
the fictional.
yeah, the
The
cafe.
cafe.
From the War of the World.
From the.
Yes.
Yeah, when Orson Welles
Yeah.
owned the radio.
It's an actual
So-
place.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's
Oh, yeah.
a monument there, and this is
Oh,
where,
my goodness.
the fictional thing was. And so, yeah, it was kind of cool.
We saw Mighty Joe on the way out to Jersey.
I saw the world's largest gnome.
Yes,
Well,
you-
second world's largest
Yeah,
gnome.
was it the second? You said it was the third.
The largest what was that?
No,
No.
garden gnome.
I thought you said no.
I saw a giant scorpion this
No,
week.
if you get a chance,
But with
get that
all
app
these
on your
different
phone. It's called
things,
Roadside America. It's awesome.
with all these different things and.
What is it, Haunted Roadside America?
No,
or
it's just called Roadside
Just
America.
Roadside
America.
America. This has nothing to do with paranormal.
When did I lose
whatsoever.
control here?
Sorry?
No. Somebody help me here. Give me, I got a quarter.
What are we here for?
I don't know. Roadside
Okay,
America.
it's your turn.
And thank you. Brought to you by Roadside America. But with all the different experiences and getting lost in the woods and things like that, have you guys ever been afraid?
There's been, we were actually just talking
That
before we
was my
started
next question.
about going back to a certain spot there. I don't want to say the area because we want to go back there, but the one time Jason, myself, and his wife Michelle were there, and we all kind of had the weirdest, creepiest feeling walking through that part of the woods. So, yeah, there's been times, I wouldn't say scared or just climbing up the waterfall at Lehigh Gorge. Looking down and like, it's either a rock or the river I'm going into. But, yeah, there's been certain spots where we've been out.
Yeah, where Bob said it's way down in this like hollow, and you have a creek on one side, and on the other side of this game road is a mountain with about a couple hundred caves, and you just get that creepy, weird, eerie feeling, and the hair on your arms start to stand up, and you're like, what am I doing here? And why am I doing
I
this?
need the feeling you're being watched.
Yeah.
We've also been.
I've never been scared really doing this, but I'll tell you a good ghost story that happened in my house that really did freak me out. It was around Easter time, and we heard you know, we fill up plastic eggs, and I heard them hitting the ground. I thought it was my cat. So I turned on the light, and the eggs were flying across the room off the table. That freaked me out pretty good. So,
You guys?
I've actually been scared. And it was your fault.
The fishing trip.
No, it was a hunting trip.
Well, no, but you were fishing one. And you
Yeah,
said
yeah, you
we had
called me
sightings
up
in that
and told me
area.
about a Bigfoot sighting up at
Yeah,
Crystal
oh
Lake,
my-
and I'm like,
I hunt
"Yeah,
there.
okay, and I'm listening to him, he's going on, I'm like, holy crap, this is where I hunt. And it was like 2 days after that was deer hunting season, so, you know, I hunt way back, like Crystal Lake. I mean, I have to take a quad back, and there's nobody back there for miles. And I got off the quad, you know, and I'm thinking about all this as I'm driving in, I'm thinking, nah, I can't be, there's no possible way, no, there's people back here. So I never load my gun. Like when I go to my stand, first thing I got off, I'm like, I was like, nah, I ain't taking this. I took about 50 feet, I walked about 50 feet, and these coyotes all around me, they're like yipping, and I'm like, boom, 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 and firing. I was scared, I was really scared, because I really thought that something was gonna happen, you know, when they started yipping like that. Boy, it's scary.
Ladies?
Go ahead. Sorry, men. I've never really been scared. I mean, I've been, I grew up this way my whole life as a psychic medium, if we didn't have to label it, like Bella said. And so I've never really been scared. I do a lot of different projection methods and visualizations, and I haven't been worried about bringing anything home with me or interacting with paranormal groups. The energy felt when I'm doing readings as opposed to working with the paranormal. It's a different vibration and different energy, so that can be more uncomfortable sometimes, or more kind of in your face. But not really scared. Definitely some creepy places. The places themselves are a little angel. You know, the places really are the thing that's kind of, you just have to also be careful depending on where you are as you do.
I definitely agree with that, but there was one time where I was scared because my ex-husband was messing with some things he was not supposed to mess with, and I did not. And I see non-human entities, and non-human entities can be negative, positive, or neutral. It just, you know, whatever they are. And in this particular instance, I woke up to something in my bedroom that I never want to wake up to ever again. It was I woke up looked at it, the energy coming off of it. I've never felt such unadulterated evil in my entire life. I actually started screaming. It was that bad. I never felt that. Never want to feel it again. Never want to see it again. But I would say that's the only time. But like you, energies are different. You know, you see things, get startled. I am a runner. Sometimes I'll close my eyes and I'll wait. As I close my eyes on investigation, so I can try to pick up more, right? And I open my eyes, and if something's standing beside me, I'm on. I'm a runner.
Well, each of you, do you actually see the people or just apparitions, or what do you actually see?
Go ahead. I see, hear, and receive message intuitively during readings. So they can send me bits and pieces, or they can show up and talk and be there visually. And like Bella was saying, one of the more uncomfortable entities that I saw was actually an elemental earth-based energy, which is again a very different vibration. So other non-human entities can be
So you
seen
see
and
actually
felt.
the whole person?
Sometimes, between seeing and receiving those messages.
And you?
I have seen them forever, so I'll wake up to them sitting on my bed. And sometimes they're see-through, sometimes they're solid, sometimes I don't know they're not real until you all of a sudden feel the frequency change. Then I know that they're not real. I see shadows, entities. I mean, one time I was talking to my mother in her laundry room, checking on her. She was sick that day, and it was during the day. She was sick, talking to her. There's a door here from the living room to the garage. This gray thing came in, touched my foot, and took off. I thought it was one of the animals. We both looked down, no animals, nothing. And my mom's like, did you see that rat? And I'm like, all I saw was black. And so I'm like, oh. So I mean, you see all different kinds of things. It all just depends. I mean,
Can you converse with them at
oh,
all?
yeah, all the time, all the
You
time.
can, you know, talk to you back.
Yes, they do. For me, I'm not an auditory listener, probably should be. That's why I close my eyes, because I'm trying to hear and develop that ability when I'm doing stuff. For me, I see pictures more than anything. And I try not to add my own filter. Like if I see red, I try not to make it red lipstick. So I see things more than I hear. But yeah, they're basically talking.
You're shaking your head, yes.
Absolutely, yes, I agree. I picked up those things the same way that Bella does as well. And I can hear tone of voice. Sometimes it's, again, those pieces, those key words. If you do any sort of reading, you usually develop your own, what we call our psychic dictionary, kind of symbols that mean something to you to relay the message from that person. So they can relay through pictures of symbols or actually saying the symbol all the way to their voice. So I do hear them as well.
Can each of you see ours?
No, it's very rare for me.
I was gonna say, I often see ours,
can
but
see
ours
ours.
are so ever changing. A lot of people think that it's one, it stays one way, but it really doesn't. It can change how you feel, different, you know, if you're feeling under the weather or not, who you're around, where you are.
I can read energy, so I'll know energy more than auras.
Can you see or feel when people are ill?
Yeah,
Can you tell what's wrong with them?
sometimes, yeah. Yeah, I'll go to someone and like, okay, your back hurts here, it's warm, there's something going on. And so usually for me, it's like, okay, something's going on here, and I can kind of tell a little bit, but I couldn't tell you your spleen's going to explode, you know, I can't tell you that, but.
Frank?
Your spleen's safe.
I got a question. I did, okay, I took some pictures on a camera, okay, because I was getting, I can't explain it to you, but you know where I'm coming from. Okay, it's just, I had a sense there was a lot of unanswered questions, so I was taking some pictures. Okay, when I'm looking at it and taking the pictures, there's nothing there. But when I went back to the camera and had my pictures developed, there it is in human form, a person. You can see the ears
Okay.
and the body and the head. And my hair is just standing up on my back. And there was just some unanswered questions that I needed. And my father got killed in a car accident when I was 9. Like that. No warning, no nothing. You're slosh, you're drunk. No seatbelts. Down in the sea, he flew out the window. Really young, I was 9. And I told my brother, he says, take me to the spot. Took me right where it was, because I never knew where it was. Took pictures. My hair's standing up. I got a sense of what happened. We went to a car show and I said, stop. Took pictures. Never knew what kind of car it was he got killed in. That car pulled me in. Don't touch this car, don't sit in that car. I went in that car. I took pictures, everything. Had all these pictures developed, and here's this orb, I guess you would call it. And it's just all in every picture. It is in here, and I could feel this, I don't know what it was, but I could feel this person holding on to 2 of my fingers.
Okay.
And I really had to make sure, because I didn't say anything to my brother because I didn't want to scare him. For me, that was kind of some closure.
Right.
That, is it such a thing as them being earthly bound and not transcending and going on to the next life?
Well, first of all, I'm sorry for your loss. Even though it was a long time ago, I know it's
Very
painful.
long, very long.
Painful, I'm sure you think about it. Yes, it's free will. So people can stay They can go, they can have unfinished business, they could just want to hang around. They may not, they may have been there because they knew you were there and they wanted to give you comfort. So there's a lot of reasons why that person could have been there for you.
I have one question. My brother, when my dad passed away, my brother was called home from the service. And it wasn't in my dad's car, it was in his friend's car. And my brother went and opened up my dad's car, and this blast of cold air knocked my brother down on his butt. Okay, it threw him basically across the garage. And my brother and I talked, and I said, I don't think he was ready to go. He was 49. I said he just didn't think he was gonna go. And he says, explain this to me. I'm the one that has the death angel on that. I feel death. And he was always curious. He's like, why did he do that? And I said, a couple reasons. That was his car, that was his baby. And I just don't think he was ready to go.
Right. It could have just been for him to, it could have been for him to miss a traffic accident, you know, it could have been a warning, it could have been for him just to kind of rush in and give him a hug. I mean, you don't know or can't interpret what was going on, but if it's the feeling. So for me, it would be the feeling of your brother. Did he feel like it was a warning? Did he feel like it was a hug? Did he feel there was something
He
going on
just said it
there?
scared him to death.
Yeah, I can imagine. it
Yeah, he
would.
said it scared him to death.
But especially if that's not something, if that was a new experience for him.
Yeah,
it
You know,
was.
to feel that it can be very scary,
Mhm.
you know, or it can make you feel like you're kind of talking yourself out of it. Did that really happen? Was that really what that was? Even though it clearly was down on the ground, you know. But I agree with what Bill said as well. I mean, it could have been a warning, it could have been to delay him. It also could have been, the way I interpret it too, the way energy feels next to each other. It could have just been the way that he picks up or started picking up with your dad. I often say that if it's a friend or family member that passed, if something happens that immediately triggers your memory of them, that's the person who sent that sign or symbol to you. So if it's, you know, him opening the door and getting that rush, knowing whether or not it's dad's car, but immediately thinking of him, and if that has happened since or not, that's who he immediately attributed that to as well. So I think there's some meaning behind that sign or symbol, you know, as well. And it can be like startling if he hasn't experienced that before.
I have one more question, and this has bothered me. Maybe about a month ago, 2 months ago, I'm in a deep, deep sleep. Dead tired. I know I was sleeping. And I heard my name. And I sat up at the bed, and the dog barked. So I knew I wasn't dreaming. And it scared me. And I'm like, and I did. I prayed, and I've done the sage, and I've done the cleansing, and that scared me. Because I said to my brother, are you playing, you know, I have a brother has passed. I says, are you playing tricks on me? I said, now stop it. And I went back to sleep. But that is some, and I'm sure other people have that, but that scares me. And my brother was a prankster, but that scared me, and I don't know how to take that. Because I'm like, don't do that. That scares me. And I just went back to sleep.
Well, in investigations, and the guys will tell you too, you always have control. Always have control. So if you don't want someone there, you can say, I command you to leave. I do not want this to happen. You always have control. So even though it scared you and started you that night, what you did was cleansing and taking back your space was absolutely correct and something you should do. And if it happens again, then you've got to figure out, okay, is there a message happening? And what do you feel? Like I tell kids when they're seeing things, what's their gut telling you? Is there red light, green light, yellow light? Because that's how I teach the kids. So if it feels bad, then you need to call on your angels and your guides to help cleanse the area. If it feels, I don't know what's going on, maybe it's just a message. Maybe there's something else that someone wants to tell you. So you have to kind of consider how it continues and if it continues.
Something that helped me and might help you is with my house was owned by, at the time, a warlock. And he practiced pretty dark stuff in the house. So we believe that entered, because how some things entered. We had blessed for St. Michael letters buried at the corners of the house. And it ceased activity for a long time. I mean, eventually ramped back up, but it did help. So it might help you to look into that.
And when you're saying the four corners of the house, you mean?
Just like a house is built, you know, you got your four corners. And just, you know, I know you might have rooms that protrude or whatever, not there, but the actual four corners of the house. And we just buried them in each corner. And it's just like you felt, if you ever gone down to Gettysburg, I'm sure you guys can attest to this, you feel the heaviness, you feel the heaviness of the battlefield, you feel the heaviness of that. Well, that's how a lot of haunted houses feel like, the heaviness,
Full.
it brings you, exactly, it brings you down. And when you burn sage, do you feel like difference?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so it's cleansing it, but then you bring, that heaviness comes back, you know. This helped for a long time, like you felt difference for a long time. So it may help you, and if you're really that scared of what's going on, it might help you and bring some closure for at least a while. And if that doesn't work, I would have a team come in,
Yeah, have a
see
paranormal
what they
come
can
in.
find out. When I was with the PPA, we did an investigation, and the lady thought it was her mother. And we could actually sit in the bedroom different spots, and we could actually call her over. You would smell her perfume. And then the other investigator would call her over, and that perfume would leave you, actually go over there. And when we came in, we also did the cleansing, but we had a medium come in, and she verified, you know, she doesn't mean you any harm, you know, and she was content with that. And it really helped close the case for her, and she didn't want her to leave. She just wanted answers. So it might help for you to have a team come in with a medium and bring you some answers on who it may be, because you never know. I don't know the history of your house or anything like that. So
Frank, what scares you?
Driving like Bob.
I understand that. Have you ever been afraid?
It's, yeah, you know, you're afraid of all kinds of things. Paranormal wise, I've never gone into a place where I've been afraid to go. You're nervous, you're apprehensive, that means you're being vigilant, you're being careful. You know, you get startled, you're there in the dark and you're looking for ghosts and somebody starts tapping you, you know, you jump a little bit. So, but that's a normal reaction.
Sidebar, Ghost Detectives, Bolton Mansion, in 2 weeks, it'll be on. CW 38, 12:30 a.m., Saturday into Sunday. You'll see what we're talking about.
We're sitting in the dark doing EVPs, Bob's trying to get my attention, so.
spoiler alert.
No, this has been posted all over the freaking internet already.
We got home from the shooting, I cut it and put it on.
It was important.
It was.
It was a shadow.
So-
It was an executive
I'm looking
decision
this
by the
way,
executive
pitch black.
producers.
Now, you know, you see it on film, and of course, it looks like all the lights are on and whatnot. So I feel like something tapped me, and I'm like, I lean away from it. Then something taps me like that, and I kind of do like this, and it's Bob.
I've done that to Jason before.
And what's great
It was
is,
more like
we
this.
got it from 2 angles.
No, you were going like this. You were doing the chicken wing.
You were trying to get it.
And you went like that.
So, there's another jump moment from that night that nobody has seen yet. And I hope that makes the show.
I have no idea what you're
I
talking
have no
about.
idea what you're talking about.
That cut list has been long done.
So, yeah, I'm not afraid of paranormal, I'm more afraid of people.
You're just afraid of the people.
Exactly.
And the camera.
People scare the daylights out of me.
You know, we've talked a lot about ghosts, or we've been talking about ghosts, Bigfoot. Simple question, do you believe?
In what?
Do you believe?
I'm a skeptical believer. I've seen too much not to believe.
I'm leaving it open, do you believe? Do you believe Bigfoot? Do you believe ghosts? Do you believe
I
Mothman?
believe in all of
Do you
it. I believe in fairies and actually I've seen them. I believe in everything because here's the question. Where do you draw the line? So you believe in spirits and Bigfoot, but God forbid you believe in aliens, sorry. But I mean, I'm just saying, it's like, why and where do you draw the line? So for me, I believe in everything because it leaves it more open.
Yeah, you definitely have to be open.
You do.
You have to have an open mind.
You get more experiences that way.
Yeah.
Jersey Devil?
No. Jersey Devil, no. Maybe, okay, wait a minute. Let me rephrase that. The Pine Barrens is 1.2 million acres. If there's something out there,
That's
we were not gonna find it that night. I can tell you that. It was like finding a needle in a haystack. And that was one of the most confusing shows that I ever did. Normally all our shows, we go in with a plan.
Still don't know what it's gonna look like.
You know, we have a plan of investigation and what we're gonna do and how we're gonna do it. We got out there in the Pine Barrens and, you know, with Bigfoot, when we film Bigfoot, you know, you're doing tree knocks, you're doing this, you're doing that. We got out to do the Jersey Devil and we're like, all right, now what do we do? We got nothing, like there was no calls, you know what I mean? And I said, okay, let's just look for tracks or something. But it was a different kind of show. It really was. It was creepy out there. I thought it was really creepy out there.
I
It was-
think that's gonna be the last show of the season, which runs into New Year's Eve. I think that's a good way to do that show, while everybody's drunk.
Have you guys ever been up at Pine Barrens?
Not
No,
yet.
I would love to.
Oh,
It's like Louisiana, like the bayou. Like
It
all
was.
the trees are really high, you could see underneath them, you know what I mean? And the
Like
fog kind of
cypress.
rolls in and covers
Sounds like
some
a
of them
second
and
show
covers
coming
not.
no.
Everything's sand, like it's right, you know,
Yeah.
by the beach.
You've
down
seen
there.
different, like, shows on the Jersey Devil, and Finding Bigfoot went to the Pine Barrens, so.
It was interesting though. I
We
mean,
were maybe a quarter mile off of the main road, and when I say you couldn't see a hand in front of your face, it's that dark back there because it's so thick.
And I think that's the interesting thing about Bigfoot. Everybody asks why you don't see him, or why hasn't the body been found there? Like,
Places like that,
yeah, I mean, if you, like I tell every time we have a talk, the state of Washington, 60% has not been seen by the naked eye on the ground. You know, and yeah, it's even here in Pennsylvania. I mean,
Yeah,
Pennsylvania.
even local, like you get up to the Ricketts Glen and Red Rock area, where you have combined 100,000 acres of state lands between Game Lands 13 and 57 and Ricketts Glen, and parts of the Pinchot State Forest are there. And, you know, you're two people in 100,000 acres of land. It's finding a needle in a haystack. It's trying to capture lightning in a bottle.
And I hear all these hunters say, well, we're out there in the woods all the time. Oh, I'm sorry, half the time, if you don't get a deer,
You don't even
in
see a
person,
deer.
you don't see one. So these are creatures, I guess you call them, who are a lot less numbered than a white-tailed deer. So of course you're not gonna see them out in the woods all the time. You know, yeah, they're gonna be a lot more rare that can blend into to their surroundings.
Right, and people always say, well, how come you haven't found a dead body? Well, if you're a hunter or an outdoors person, how many times have you found a bear carcass in the woods?
Even a deer carcass or any kind of animal.
It's rare,
Yeah.
You know.
Nature cleans up itself.
we drove 30 miles and we were still in the Pine Barrens. We were still in the forest.
Yeah. Actually, it was 52 miles.
I'm sorry. I just know it was a hell of a long way. It was a long way.
Well, the only time when you see a dead deer is on the side of the road.
Right.
I mean, my buddy the other day, he's like, and he's such a straight skeptic. I mean, he makes fun of me, but I don't care. I saw a bear no more than 10 feet away from me in the woods as I'm driving. I stopped to take a picture of it. I could barely see his little brown snout. I can't see anything else. And I showed him that picture. He's like, well, you still make out that's a bear. I was 10 feet from it. Of course I can, you know.
Right, and,
So-
and as far as like clear pictures and videos, we've run into this situation in the woods to where if we even come across a deer, we were driving on state lands once and a deer came out in the road in front of us, stopped by the time all of us would get our phone out and try to take this picture of the deer, it was gone. Let alone if you're a casual person driving or walking in the woods and you run into a Bigfoot, by the time not only do you process what's going on with it, and then come to the realization of, I should get my phone out and take a picture of this or videotape this, it's gone.
I got it.
I have a question.
What about crystal skulls?
Shut up.
You guys ever hear of crystal skulls?
Like Indiana Jones.
Seriously?
Crystals.
Are you bringing that up again?
Yeah. You told me you knew
You
all
must have
about it.
something about the crystal skulls. So you want to share
I froze. We were supposed to be doing a round table like this at the last thing we did,
I had to, but
and I was not prepared for a crystal skull question, not at all. And I was the first one up, and they asked me my opinion on crystal skulls, and I said, Indiana Jones.
Same thing.
and for you guys on the panel, sitting next to him was Kenny Biddle. If you know Kenny at all, that didn't go over well. Kenny's a skeptic.
Can I ask them a question while we're on?
Sure.
I've seen that Les Stroud.
Right.
Things.
Rubber man.
Are they aggressive?
What's a Les Stroud?
Oh,
He's like a
Survivor man.
Yeah, it's a
survivor.
Oh,
He
okay.
did a Bigfoot
He did a few
series.
Bigfoot.
I don't think they're aggressive enough to where they want to hurt you. I think they're aggressive enough where they want you out of their territory. You know,
And
just
that's
like
where
any
the
other
rocks and
animal.
sticks when you
You
get
know,
them.
and, I mean, if they wanted to hurt you, they would attack and hurt you. I mean, let's face it, if you have a 7-foot beast that weighs 500 pounds, probably do pretty good damage to you. So I think if they want to hurt you, they can hurt you.
So, have you guys obviously seen that series?
Yes.
Do you think that was authentic? Okay, that's all I want to know.
Well, you've done TV before.
Great, because that's my next question.
I've done
What do
the
you
show
think of
before.
reality TV?
And I can tell 4 stories, and they lump those 4 stories into one story. I mean, you know that to make it more dramatic.
Right, well, they had the recordings and everything, you know,
Yeah,
the
I
screams
can't
and,
remember
Which,
Is that what that one? Lost it.
oh, what's his name from Canada? The one
Yeah.
yeah,
nobody
yeah,
likes.
they were back there a couple days in the
Bear
woods.
Grylls?
No.
It was a Bigfoot,
Oh.
He's always pulling scams.
not Miracle.
I want to say the shot one.
No. It'll come back to me. Give me a minute.
But like you were saying with the aggressive, I've seen like on the different shows, stories,
Mountain monsters. Don't believe mountain monsters.
we're getting it.
They're pretty neat guys.
But anyway, like you were saying with the aggressiveness, I've seen like the stories on TV, written reported sightings where kids are out playing in the yard and they just happen to see it stand up and they're just curious. You know, like he said, if they wanted to hurt, not necessarily kids or anything,
Right,
they, you know, they had a perfect
Right.
opportunity.
well, that show, they made the appearance that they were aggressive, you know.
No, I think they more want you out of their territory. If they're throwing stuff at you.
And it could have been the thing
As a
too,
warning.
just like a mother bear and a cub kind of thing too.
TV, I get it.
CD, yeah.
Ratings.
No.
All right, staying on that, is there any reality in the reality paranormal shows? Go from ghost hunters to mountain monsters.
What was the question again?
Is there any reality?
There it is.
in
Todd
reality
Standing.
show?
Todd Standing was the guy. Rob just got it.
Is there any reality in those shows?
Very little. Ghost Hunters started out and they were pretty close to being kind of real. But of course, you have to edit it for TV. And you know, you take 3 days of investigation and you boil it down into a half an hour or 40 minutes, whatever, how long they run. So they over-dramatize it. And again, Ghost Hunters in the beginning, I don't feel they were doing it that bad, but as the show progressed,
They had to keep up ratings.
they had to keep up ratings,
Right.
and they did. And then you take it to a show like Ghost Adventures, where, how much more over the top can they go?
They were proven to fabricate evidence.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, one time I was watching Ghost Hunters with my sister. My sister was really into it. She was like 15, 16, a really young age, seeing the show. And every time I see the show, they always see some type of shot or something, they'll run away scared. And I'm like, are you serious? You see a paranormal thing, and the first thing you're gonna do is run away.
I run.
Isabella's our runner, the rest of us run towards it.
Get startled and yell.
I could honestly attest, when I did our show, like, my house was one of the reasons why they started the show. So me and my wife told the story of our house, and we filmed for 3 days. And for that little episode, but they would combine a bunch of stories into one to give you that dramatic. One story to me was scary as you know what, but you know, to them, and they edited so much the story where it's almost not true.
Yeah, and you just can't believe it.
The research they did on Dr. Santee was true. You know, all that aspect was true, but the actual.
But also in that house across from Dr. Santee's.
Mine was the house across from Dr.
That was
Santee's.
yours?
Yes,
Okay, because I saw that one, and
yes.
I've been in Dr. Santee's house.
Yes, I've been in
Years
there.
ago. And in that outside thing.
Yeah, which was his doctor's office. Mine was where the nurses stayed and where they would hold their seances.
Okay.
I did not know that when I bought it, of course.
And you no longer live there.
I sold it, and
Did you tell the new people?
they actually bought it because it was on TV.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I was contacted by a production agency a couple weeks ago, well, last week. They want to do another series on it, and want me to tell my story. I'm sure that will be, you know, won't be as real either. But you know, you just tell your story and what they do with it, they do with it. So,
Now, I'm not saying that I don't believe in ghosts. I definitely do think there's something is out there, another type of reality or something. But it's just seeing like the TV shows and stuff, and you can just tell like some of it is really edited. You can just tell. And it's,
what I look for in a TV show is they show live footage. If they show actual footage, then that tells a story in itself, I think. You know, like Taps did with the jail in Philadelphia. I mean, yeah, no, when they got the shadow coming out of the cell. That tells, you know, tells a story. Even in a house, if it's live footage, it really tells a story, you know. So.
That was actually fake.
No, come on.
You're talking about the spray state?
Yeah, you had sneakers on.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Bob,
I'm sorry.
Bob, I'm in,
Santa Claus ain't real.
Bob,
There you go.
I want to throw this to you because you've worked with Ghost Adventures, The Haunted, and you're one of the founders and executive producer for Ghost Detectives, a locally produced. Is there reality in reality paranormal shows?
Yes, some, not many. I've worked with Ghost Adventures. Their show, you know, it's gotten worse over the years. It's good if you're into the paranormal and you just want to see stuff that, you know, the normal public would see. Like, to me, I would say, no, that's not possible, some of the stuff that happens. But when they brought me into the show, they were just asking my opinion on things. So I went in there with, you know, an open mind and just gave them my opinion. So they tied all my stuff that I told them about footsteps and, you know, guys with a lantern, they all tied that into the show, which made it look like it happened. Whether it did or not, I just gave my opinion on what they showed me. You know, I wasn't actually there to say, you know, it was real or it wasn't real. If I was there, I would say, okay, that's real. I couldn't make that judgment. The Haunted, you know what the Haunted was like.
Reality TV is to entertain. That's
What it is. It's all about ratings. Our show, over 8 years, we have not changed. Ours is just a real show. If something happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it's a boring show. I can tell you
We
that.
talk a lot of history and we talk a lot
Yep.
of equipment.
Exactly. But, you know, we don't cover anything up. We don't fake anything. They've tried to change it numerous times. We've threatened to pull it. Just, this is the way it is. It's reality.
Now, with that, what you see in our 22 to 26 minutes that we have to air, depending on sponsors, is a weekend's worth of filming. So why it looks like all of this, when we do have a really busy weekend, it looks like all this happened, yeah, but that's from 12, 14, sometimes more
Two
hours.
8-hour days, 6 cameras each day.
So,
Not
can't
good.
forget about UFOs.
We have a UFO there?
No, I don't, couldn't get moved on here.
Front kids.
Actually, you are MUFON, I forgot about
I
that.
am. I've done one case.
UFOs, do they exist?
Yes,
I mean, besides the fact that we see something in the air and we don't know what it is.
they exist, and you're kind of alluding to conspiracies.
Which,
You know,
does Dr. Spectre know anything about conspiracies?
Dr. Spectre knows just a little about conspiracies.
Okay.
And again, it's all conspiracy, but there's always a hint of truth buried in there. Our government has known about UFOs since long before Roswell. There's been agreements signed that they get to come and go as they please. They can, take and examine and do what they do. They've given us technology. We've had these major technological advances within the past, 100 plus years. Well, no, just in the past 100 years. There's been these, so they're giving us little drips and drabs, and yeah, there's been a big expanse within the past 10, 15 years, because now we're becoming more advanced ourselves and able to use and understand. There are aliens that walk among us daily. There are aliens that have high-ranking, or that are high-ranking government officials. So there's a secret alien base up in the Antarctic, and no one was supposed to own any land up in the Antarctic. That was for all nations to study and observe, and so on and so forth. There's supposed to be no military presence in the Antarctic, and yet there are military bases. There's a no-fly zone there. Images were caught on Google Earth of this giant vaulted door heading into the side of an ice mountain. So yeah, there's aliens everywhere.
I have a question, and I'm not a skeptic because I totally believe. Why would they allow Google Earth to film that?
It was quickly taken off. Yeah, it got up, and then, a couple of people saw this quick and screenshotted it, but you can't find it. It's gone.
So then you watch Ancient Aliens?
From time to time I do. Yeah, I don't watch it
From
on
a lot
regular.
you've said.
Yeah. Do they say the same stuff? Okay. They must
Then
be
they got it right?
They must be reading Taps Paranormal
There
magazine.
you go.
So Rich, I'm going to ask a question, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So one of the things that Frank showed me after, I think you and Kenny or you and James were talking, but have you guys seen The Fourth Kind? It was the scariest show
Mhm.
ever.
Yeah.
That thing is freaky, and it talks about what's the difference between aliens and demon possession. You can't tell the difference from the show. It was freaky.
What show was that?
It's a movie.
Fourth Kind,
It's
it's
a
a
movie.
movie.
Yes, movie, Fourth Kind, and
When
it's,
was it done?
that was in the 90s?
90s.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe so.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. But there's a lot of similarity with demonic possession and alien abduction. There's loss of time, there's, people get these unexplained marks, they hear voices in their head, their demeanor changes.
I hear voices.
That's just
Speak
Angel.
louder, 'cause I hate-
Telling you you're wrong.
But they got good ideas sometimes, so.
They tell me to hide the bodies.
Okay.
But yeah, there's huge similarity. It's very hard to distinguish sometimes.
Do you believe in demons and angels? Yes?
Angel's
No?
right there.
I believe in that either. I have to go home tonight. So. Do you believe in demons and angels?
I do.
I believe in demons for sure. I mean, just stuff we investigated.
So just demons, not angels?
Oh, no, I believe in angels.
Okay.
As a medium, I mean, when you talk to the dead, do they talk about heaven?
So I have never had anyone talk to me about heaven at all. And I don't have a religious affiliation, so I believe in astral planes and different levels and stuff like that. So I have asked about different levels, and they have said what level they've been on, but they rarely tell you about the other side. At least I don't get any. I don't know if you have.
They do to me, but I also don't have a religious affiliation either. So to me, when I'm doing a reading, it's someone who's progressed to the love and light of the other side, no matter what that is. So if that's another plane, or if that's what they consider heaven before they're passing, I'm not talking with anyone from a darker place
Right.
or a lower level.
So would there be a difference, I guess, I would say, between a ghost and an angel? If it's, I mean, what would the difference be, I guess? I don't know how to ask that question.
There are differences. Again, human spirit is different, and it's about free will. To me, an angel is an elemental, is just another different type of spiritual energy and entity. Demons, I have seen, like I said, that very negative entity. So I call them entities versus demons and angels and things like that. But when I work with people, I work with them no matter what religion and belief system they have. So I help them, understand if they believe in heaven, again, free will, that's where they're going to go, and that's what they think of themselves at.
So, but you believe that heaven is more like an astral plane?
Yes.
Because most of the people in hell will be in another astral plane.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't believe in heaven, I know.
For all of you, what's the biggest mistake investigators make?
They don't shut up.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. It's, you're trying to hear and listen, and we're all guilty of it from time to time, but, two people over here will strike up a conversation or whatever. So they don't really slow down, and I use shut up as, the shock term. They don't slow down enough to listen to the environment around them. Okay, and that's a big part of what we do. I'm sure it's a big part of what you guys do. You can't be out in the woods yakking up a storm because you're gonna miss. You want to hear. You want to know what's going on around you.
Yeah, sometimes that's faint.
Yeah.
What you hear.
Yeah.
Very faint.
Or even moving, they're constantly. Make one swallow.
The other biggest mistake is too much glitter.
No.
No.
I'm gonna spray myself with glitter next time we film.
What did you say, too much what?
Glitter.
Oh, there.
We have this, okay, so when you do investigating, you really shouldn't wear things that kind of reflect and things like that, because you can mistake the film, right? The thing. I'm gonna wear glitter. Now, I may not wear the sweater, but I will put glitter on my face. That's just a given.
We can't see the blinky lights then.
No. Hey, I just got glow-in-the-dark acrylic, so I'll wear gloves.
Bob?
I'll jump in on this
Well,
one.
go ahead.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to steal Bob's thunder. Maybe you know the word I'm looking for, though, Bob. When you have Bigfoot on the mind, where,
Discuss this, I can't remember.
yeah, where every,
Tunnel vision.
In a
like
way,
a tunnel vision, but every broken tree in the woods is something Bigfoot did, or every
We know a guy like that.
yeah, or every bent tree limb in the woods is
Yep.
Bigfoot, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like I'll be on these different Bigfoot boards where I'll post our investigations, and people are showing smudges in the dirt and just random broken trees in the woods. Bigfoot did this. This is the Bigfoot den, and there's been activity around here, and I'm surrounded by them right now, and
It's kind of like orbs. There are
You
orbs
know.
out there. A lot of times it's dust or bug. You want it to be so bad something that you make it into something.
And we've had that, there was when we're out with Albert that time. And a lot of times what we do, we'll just take random pictures of the woods and then we go home, you can look at it better. And I thought I seen 3 of them standing there. And then like the next picture, you think we see more. So that's, I can't remember what the word was either, but like you said, Bob, it's like television, you see it, and then you can see it every, so you just, that's when you put it down and wait a while and go back and look at it later.
Right, or we'll post a picture like, this is a really cool nature shot, and there's nothing in it. But yet, we'll get 10 comments. There's 3 Bigfoot in this picture, and they're circling these things in red, and it's
Nine
like...
times out of 10, it's just a dark spot in a tree between leaves and that. It's like, I mean, we look, but
And I'm sure you get attest to it, Bob, when you're sitting in the dark, your eyes play tricks on you.
Oh, yeah.
You think you see shadows all the time, you know, it's like, you know, and react to it, because your mind actually sees it, but it wasn't real.
Right.
That's the hardest, yeah. it's
Glasses
the
make
hardest.
like side reflections, they make like, I'm constantly having to take my glasses off and say, okay, can I recreate this, because I'll see something, glasses do.
Because it does happen fast when it happens. I mean, it happens very fast. I was laying in bed watching TV one time, and I watched a shadow full on view go like this in the doorway, head, shoulders, and all, and come back. But it was like that. You know, now granted, I kind of full on view, I know exactly what I saw at that time. But it's, your mind does play tricks on you, in the woods, in the dark. Your ears play tricks on you.
and for us too, it's different too, because you're out in the woods in the dark.
Yeah.
We've had like where we heard stuff, and I forget where we were, when we camped at Bald Eagle that night, we were walking, we kept hearing something. Here, we got to a certain point, I forget what it was, a porcupine or a raccoon in a tree. You know, you hear the,
The big thing for me is when it's really, really quiet, you almost hear like ringing in your ears.
Mhm.
And it's just from being so silent, you know? You almost want something to make a noise, just to,
break it.
yeah.
That's what I was gonna ask, because you're going out and you anticipate that you wanna see or you wanna hear something, do you think sometimes that you do hear or see it, but it's really not really there?
You do, you let the equipment speak for that.
Yeah,
That's why you carry so much equipment for you, that's why you go over, because at that point, it's just a personal experience. You
Uh-huh.
got it documented, then
Yeah,
it becomes
right.
evidence.
You know, I used to go into investigations from the opposite side, like, you know, do something, and you know how much activity I actually saw? None. Because I believe the spirits know that I was close to that, so they wouldn't come near me. I could have a party going on over in that corner, and the rest of the team is snapping away and everything else, and I'm, you know? So yeah, I think a lot of it, that goes back to that predisposition too. If people go in with the idea that this is all a big haunted house and we've got this going on and that going on, Bob will tell you, there's nights we go in 2 nights in a row, without doubt, one of the 2 nights is usually busy, and the other night, nothing.
Yep.
Why?
That's
I
almost a
don't
given.
know.
You want a
That's
lot of
almost a given.
cases.
Yeah, we've never had 2 nights in a row.
If you have a hot night, the next night is usually flat.
Yeah.
I know we go on a lot of cases, and I used to go on a lot of cases, you might get activity like 1%.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
That's why when I do show you some of that stuff, it's like, yeah, this is from 2011. Why? Because it was that spectacular piece of equipment that I couldn't explain away, or the team couldn't explain away. And we may do dozens of investigations where it's like, okay, on this, my favorite phrase, at this particular time and this particular date, no activity was detected, so we cannot confirm nor deny the claims by the resident or the business. It doesn't mean that there's not anything there. I mean, it's,
A lot of times you just stumble upon evidence.
Yes.
We stumbled upon these, I mean, it just happened.
you know, somebody over there said about the big circles on pictures. We had always learned that if you have to put a circle around it, there's nothing there. Angel.
How important do you think it is for I guess, everybody out there to protect yourself. Like, I don't know, say
Yeah,
a
that's
prayer
everything.
or,
Let's go back to the demon angel thing. I think that's where you're headed. Demon angels, ghosts, spirits. Is that what
like
you?
when you go into a house,
Always.
to protect yourself.
Always, always, always. Even if, okay, yeah, you're going to a well-known haunted location and it's just
Even if you're not
grandma's,
psychic.
grandma's ghost, you know, protect yourself, because the fact that there's a haunted location, anything can come in. Okay, and so, you know, a prayer, a medal, whatever your belief system is, something you do that keeps your vibrational level high, okay, and then that protects you. When you're done, protect yourself again and cleanse, purge.
I do it even when I'm there sometimes, because you're just like in a room like, okay. So I can't, yeah, you have to. That's what they don't show on these TV shows either,
Yeah.
is people doing protections and
That's
stuff
why I
like that, and they do that.
Yeah, and
Oh,
you got,
mm.
all right, and
Iron Island.
Iron Island, yeah, we had some fun stuff happen there. And we're filming at Iron Island Museum up in Buffalo, and can I tell the story?
Sure.
All right, so we're down in the basement. and-
Spoiler for a future episode. Ghost Detectives, Saturday into Sunday, CW 38, 12:30 a.m.
So I see a shadow go behind, and it's Rich Angel and I were sitting down there, and Andrew had the camera, and I see a shadow go behind Andrew, so I get up, I'm going to look around. All of a sudden, we hear a noise behind Rich. I turn to look over, and out of the corner of my eye, I see this thing charging at me. Okay, it's a little dark, and I'm pretty sure it was elemental. I turn, and it hits me head on, right, and just goes right through me. It sucks the life out of you. You know, you start to get cold from the inside out, and you shiver, and you know, and you get a little loopy. So I'm ready to time myself out and go up to the break room, and Andrew says, well, if you saw it going this way, you should probably go back there and investigate. So later he says, you really didn't look good. So I go back into the creepy corner of the basement, and I'm, you know, looking around. Nope, there's nothing here. Guys, I'm taking a little break, and I went out and, you know, try to cleanse this crap off of me.
And then what happened?
Rich, for the first time.
Oh, that's right,
in 10
yeah.
years of investigating in the same area, saw a full body apparition on something. All I know was it was bald, it was big, and it walked like this, towards the same back corner where Frank was going.
Yeah. So the point of that was, this is a place I've been to a dozen times. This is a place I always feel loved and welcomed, and nothing bad ever happens there, and there it was. And I don't believe this was a bad thing. It was neutral. It was neither bad nor good. It was a troublemaker.
But the sensitive people we had that entire night, even when we were doing the walkthrough, felt something in that back corner. But we got comfortable.
That's true, you do
That's
get
always a
comfortable.
big problem,
Yeah.
when you get comfortable.
We got comfortable. We got comfortable with each other, and it was one of the last filmings we did for the year, and just, you know, you start,
That's when it happens.
it starts slipping a
You
little
get
bit.
too comfortable.
We had spent the day up at Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
Jason protects us, so.
I was gonna say, for us, our protection, we just
Yeah,
carry.
our protection is a 38 and lots of deep woods off. Because,
Bears.
yeah, because my least concern in the woods is a Bigfoot. My biggest concern is just the way the world is today. You don't worry if you're gonna be up in the middle of the woods and stumble upon someone's marijuana field or drug lab or, you know, a upset mama bear or a pack of coyotes and ticks, especially ticks.
But speaking of what they said, is you open up that doorway and it's a very thin line. Playing with the Ouija board is a bad idea, you know, trying to do it yourself
We
is
talked
just a
about that.
bad idea. You know,
There's two different thoughts on that.
Well,
Could be your intention.
and
Yeah.
I did a Ouija board one of our paranormal nights. And the point I pushed is the Ouija board itself is nothing more than a piece of wood
right.
that's been sold by a toy company and beyond old. We went through the whole history of it. I didn't even know it was that old. It's what people do either with intent to
It's what they
invite
bring
something,
in.
or it's what door they open and they don't know what they're opening.
That is true, it's not,
You're right.
you're, as an EVP, you're asking for contact, and it is true, it's just, it's tough.
Because
You know,
I
part
think
of
You know
it
what?
it's-
That can be dangerous too for the people that are out there watching TV.
That's
And they're
my
doing the
point.
EVP sessions at home and they don't know who they're talking to.
That's true.
Um,
I think it's
like
involved.
That is my point, you
Yeah.
don't want a 14-year-old kid playing the Ouija board, because you don't know what you're pulling in.
Yeah.
You know,
You are making that, it's a thin line as it is, and you're making it even thinner, you're opening that
They
door.
are seeing at the time.
That kind of goes back to what you said, Rich, about what do you think is the most, one of the most questionable things about reality TV to me? That's it. Because you don't have necessarily the knowledge base or the information or the education to know. You just say, oh, I've seen that on TV, I've seen them do that. It's really cool, it turns out this way. Not necessarily. Each
Working
energy is very
both-
different.
Yeah, exactly, and working both fields, I would not try that field as an amateur. I've seen too much. This, you can go out walking in the woods and hopefully you catch something, you know?
And if not, you had a great hike and got to see some
Exactly.
awesome nature and scenery, and got good exercise.
We were amateurs and we had a good time.
Yeah,
Blast.
Yeah.
yeah, but doing the
Except for the
ghosts, even when you do Gettysburg, you do those ghost tours, sometimes you know, they do the orphanage, and
Yeah.
I tell you what, I've done it, and I've said a prayer before I got in, because they don't know what to do. I did the Jenny Wade House in that activity while we were in there, and I tell you what, the next day, the lady quit. She was doing the tour, you know, because people want to experience so bad.
I've seen her in that house.
Jenny Wade, yeah.
Accidentally. I thought it was a real person. This one you're talking about, do you see? Thought it was a real person. I was trying to get away from this guy who's kind of, stalking. And there are two rooms at the bottom. And I'm like, oh, this girl's gonna go up went up those stairs. I'm like, I'll just follow her and get away from him. I go up the stairs and there's nothing there. And it was a long skirt. I wasn't even paying attention, but it was a long skirt. And I just saw the skirt go up the stairs. And I'm like, okay, I'll go. It's like when you don't know.
Yeah.
You talk about Gettysburg, I go there all the time because my sister lives in Hanover, which is halfway between Gettysburg and York.
You just
We have a
gotta-
friend
Like I
there.
told him before, I've probably been there 100 times, because every time I go to Hanover, we have to go to Gettysburg.
Well, now I go down there, they got the stores down there, sell all the equipment and all that, and you got people going on their own doing this.
Right, right.
And I tell you, they really don't know what they're doing, because I'm sure a couple of them brought something home that they did not want brought home.
I mean, I've been in the orphanage, I've been in Jenny Wade's house, I've been out at Hers Ridge.
And if it likes you, it will attach to you. You know, I mean, it very
Like
well.
I told him, but nothing ever happens, and I keep hoping it will. That's because when I go on the battlefield, whoever's with me won't shut up. You ever say that? Shut up? I just want to concentrate on the battlefield. You know? And
Tell
whoever's
you
with
what.
you is,
You want an application for our team? Well, significant experience doing what you do. That's a tough one. Who wants to start?
There's a lot of them, yeah. I mean, significant.
In your mind, the most significant one, or the one that meant the most?
I'll stay in the Bigfoot realm, because that's what I'm doing now. When I was a young kid, my grandparents on the Nisqually River back then they ran the dams, they controlled the dams. So there was a canal, and then there's the river. And there's always a dead spot in the woods, which you look at it, kind of made the hair on the back of your neck stand up. And we've always heard screams and stuff, but on this day, we let the dogs out, and they come ripping in, and my grandmother was washing dishes at the sink, and we were kind of in the kitchen ourselves, and all of a sudden, the deer comes bolting out of the woods, and there was a creature chasing the deer. The deer went right across the canal, just right over the canal, the creature chased that deer, all right in front of 5 of us, and it's burned into your mind. So that's the part where I started getting paranormal, everything paranormal, UFOs, ghosts, but Bigfoot especially. And even as a kid, you always, after seeing that, you never want to sleep on the first floor because you always think that they're going to But yeah, I mean, to this day, you can still describe the creature, because it's burnt into your brain.
Yeah, probably mine, and Bob will probably agree that we had about a 10-minute interaction with one. If you're down near Wilkes-Barre and you look up on the mountain there by the casino and you see the windmills up there, we were up in that general area, and we were out on this power pipeline, whatever you want to call it, and we're figuring out if we want to walk down this hill, because Bob doesn't do hills good.
Down's fine.
So we decided we're going to start doing some rock knocks, wood knocks. It's a way Bigfoots communicate. It's kind of like a Bigfoot text message to each other. So Bob grabs 2 rocks, bang, bang, and off into the tree line, whack, wood knock back. Wow. We do it again 2 times. Whack, would knock back. And if we tried it 3 times, nothing, tried it once, nothing, back to 2 times, 30 seconds later, whack. Now one time we had it coming from the one direction and then slightly down the hill, and this went on for 10 minutes before it quieted down, and it just, got you amped up, and it's kind of like that one experience a year you have doing what we do. You maybe find that one cool piece of evidence or that one crazy experience, once a year that makes you keep coming back.
And we all look at each other like, wow.
Why are you looking at me? I'm good with
Thought
that.
Just next.
I guess I'm next.
Yeah.
Most significant, probably be early in my career when I first started. And I'm going back to the house that I grew up in. I grew up in a house that was, I'm telling you, it was the most insane thing you have ever seen or felt in your life. We would see things daily, walk through walls, had beds levitate, doors slamming, classic chains, moaning, you name it. It had everything. And this was a daily thing, every single day. I mean, it was bad. And back then, you couldn't go to your neighbor and say, we have a ghost in our house, because they would commit you. There wasn't any paranormal groups that could come and help you. So this kind of inspired me to start a paranormal group. And I always wanted to investigate the house. And my parents said, absolutely no way are you coming in here as an amateur and stirring crap up. Absolutely no way. And my dad passed away, and my mom couldn't keep the house. It was a big house. So she decided she was going to sell it. And by then, we were probably about 2 years into the paranormal group. And she sold the house to a Mexican family. And she called me up. She said, come over. And she gave me the keys. She says, you have 24 hours to investigate it. So we brought the team in. And, everybody heard the stories and brought the team in. We were all excited. And we investigated for 12 straight hours. And we only got one thing. But that was the most significant thing to me. It was an EVP, and it said, you lived here. So at that point, I realized that these things are intelligent. They know who I am. Carry on.
Nice.
So that's when we started helping people, doing the best we could. Not everything's right, obviously. I mean, we've had a lot of trial and error, but you do the best you can. Nobody has the answers. You're next.
That's pretty decisive, I feel. The thing that pops out in my head is, I get asked the question, what got you into the paranormal? And this is probably the most significant thing that I've ever, well, no, I probably had more, but this is the one that I remember the best. I was 9 years old. I'm the youngest of 5. My sister was having a party and they were gonna do a seance. Okay, so we go into this downstairs bathroom in my parents' house. There's a big mirror in this, and I'm part of the seance. I'm like, wow, this is really cool, you know. So they're trying to contact this a local doctor who had just died. They're doing the thing, candle starts to flicker. I see the guy's face in the mirror. I couldn't tell you, I've never met the man, didn't know who he was. I described him to every detail. I mean, it was clear, and there were people sobbing because I saw this guy. And that kind of sealed me, locked me into the paranormal. Like, and part of that, I was always fascinated with it, from as long as I could remember. But that's the one that just, boom, yeah, I gotta know more. I gotta do this. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
I got 2 more questions, and then I'm gonna let you guys say what you want to wrap up, and see if you guys have any more
Did the
questions.
girls get the answer?
Oh, I
Don't they get the answer?
Didn't they get skipped?
No, they got skipped.
No, I'm fine.
Bob talked,
No.
Bob talked for them. No.
I think growing up, my mom has some abilities that are a little different than mine. My grandmother did. I called her my fairy godmother. She did as well. But growing up that way is just kind of trying to make sense of yourself and understand what was happening to you. As far as after I became public about what I do, I found my motto hasn't always been a positive, professional, peaceful experience for calm, comfort, and closure. So I try my best to help those who come to me. And there was a 3-year-old, after I first became public, a 3-year-old whose parents contacted me, who in their words was seeing demons crawl out of her wall at night. So we had to talk about, even at 3, the different ways to protect yourself and the things that you can do, and to allow her to sleep and be a normal kid. And for me, I mean, I've taught kindergarten going on 14 years, but 3 is very different than 5 and 6. So to kind of put it at her level, and I had another client who was one of, going back to the alien type conversation, she was one of my most interesting when she came to me for frequent visitations from alien visitors. And so we were kind of working through those sorts of things. So everybody has their own story. Nobody is alone in the things they experience, but it's also really, truly the people that I've met being open about those sorts of things and those sorts of experiences, and being able to help those people. So kind of leads you further on in your own soul's evolution and toward people that are more of a like, you feel more like yourself. So those are kind of my stand. I mean, I'm always grateful to do what I do, but those were 2 instances where kind of like, as Frank said, seal the deal, like, okay, this is what you're meant to do.
I think the same for me is, so this has always been a part of me, so I don't know anything different. So seeing people, talking to people, like Frank says, it's Grand Central Station in the house. And so for me, I know, it really is. It's like having brown eyes. I really don't notice the difference, but I think the significant pieces for me are helping people. Back to your point, that's what I was going to say too. Copying me, no, just kidding. Copying you.
Like a tractor.
I know, that's true. Helping, and what I've noticed now lately is I don't really like telling and doing readings telling you your future. That's just not where I connect. My connection is at your soul level, so helping you remember things, issues that you've had in the past, and significantly helping people. They usually end up crying, but I usually help them remember something that's why they have triggers or behave the way they are now, or talking to the other side to bring closure. That's, to me, significant. And I've had so many experiences like that. It's just amazing. Yeah, just like you, yeah.
How did you go?
Yeah, he did.
Jason.
I spoke.
Yeah, same one.
They were twins.
Yeah.
Yes.
Didn't you see Bob's hand behind Jason? Do you guys have any questions for these folks?
I want to ask them, where did you find the prints?
Okay, this one right here, it's a third generation recast from the Patterson-Gimlin site, where I'm sure you've seen the Bigfoot footage of Patty walking. So this is a third generation, but a friend of ours gave it, and I just like to use it as a comparison. These two other ones here came from up near Walden this past spring. So same track, they came from the same trackway. There was like 16 prints altogether, and it was one of our first times casting, and
It was our first time.
it was our first
You
time
can't tell.
casting. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, stumbling upon evidence, my son actually found them, and I didn't believe him. And actually, he's like, no, you really gotta see this. I was like, no. And then I scolded him for that, he's freaking me out. But he wasn't, and you can actually see the toes in them. And this one here, there was a rock like this, and the foot actually stepped on the rock and came in, and the toes curled around the rock. And that's how we were able to get these toes that curled in. So it, to me, makes it more legit because it was an actual normal, it's not a double bear print or anything, so.
I would think there would be a lot of activity up here on Bob Ball. I don't mean just that, I mean the other things that you do, you know, the paranormal and everything. Because there are some caves up there too.
Yeah, there's
I
lots of caves up there.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, somebody had contacted me once and they never followed up about activity, paranormal activity in the caves, but they never followed up with me.
Yeah.
And
That was actually me.
was it?
Yeah, like in the,
I'll have to
like
talk.
It was pretty bright there.
I don't know where, it was, somewhere in,
Yeah.
a different country, where there's this cave with chains and stuff.
No, this was about the caves up in the Wapwalla.
Yeah.
And it was a while ago, it was probably 2 or 3 years ago, and unfortunately, if people don't, if I don't write it down. Anybody else have any questions?
Two, one for the Facebook guys and one for Bob. I've heard,
Bob?
I've seen this and heard, I've read this, and I don't, just want to get you guys' opinion, that Bigfoot is actually an alien. Whether you think that's really possible, that's why nobody sees it.
Okay,
That's what-
my theory on it is Bigfoot sightings and alien and UFO sightings go hand in hand,
I've
or,
heard that too, yes.
but if you're as curious as a Bigfoot is, and you have a spaceship that lands in your woods, what are you gonna do? You're gonna go and check it
Go
out.
for it, yeah.
To me,
Never
I
thought of it
don't
that
way.
believe that, and I'll tell
Bigfoot
you.
is a UFO hunter.
And I know the stories go hand in hand and all that, I personally don't believe it. I think that they're actually, you know, a creature. I mean, Native Americans have been talking about them for long before we were here. I think the reason why we don't see them and all that is kind of hard to see them. Just like I was in the military, if you walk up on somebody in a ghillie suit, he'd be right here. I don't see him. I know I've done it, you know. I've almost stepped on the guy's rifle before, so I've done it. So to me, that's the camouflage well in the woods. That's just my personal opinion. I'm not saying it's right, it's wrong, but it's my
Thank you,
personal
I just wanted to get.
I think all of us don't believe the whole alien Bigfoot connection, just like some people always ask us to, what do they call them, shapeshifters too.
Right,
Yeah.
right. We could ask our resident conspiracy theorist down there
But,
about the alien connection.
But I agree, like,
There are 11 different species of aliens that we know of. One of them is a big hairy alien, and that's where this whole Bigfoot is an alien thing started. I'm not a believer that Bigfoot is an alien. It's a nice theory, and it kind of explains a lot, but no, it's wrong. My 2 cents.
Like I said, we never put much with it, or whatever. But like Jason said, people ask us that all the time, and we say that. People say, oh, there's a lot of Bigfoot sightings around the UFO. Well, like we just said, they're just as curious to see it as, you know, you would see it.
Yeah.
I know, I think there's charged spots on this earth. Like, this earth is, I mean, we have a magnetic field.
Right.
There's charged spots. I think more activity around those spots, paranormal, ghosts, Bigfoot, UFOs, whatever. I think, even us, I think we're attracted to them. Why do we live so much by water? Water is a natural charger. You know, a lot of people live by a lake, river, ocean, you know? So I think even we're attracted to it. So I think it's just an explanation, but who knows?
Besides, the big hairy aliens are Wokies anyway.
There you go.
And the question for Bob is, at Penhurst, when you were up on the ladder, what startled you when you were up there? What did you think it was?
You're talking about in the attic when we were.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do I think was up there?
Yeah, what did you see that startled you?
Horror,
Because
chills.
I was like, I
That's one
even
of those
rewound it a couple
experiences.
times, like, what is it? What did he think?
Oh,
it
that was on the show.
Yeah.
It's
I've
one.
done so much. I've been up there, God, how many times have we been up there since then?
Oh, man.
10 or 20 times,
We were
and there's
doing-
something up there that starts down the other end, and it rushes right at you. You can hear it coming.
Whenever you
And it's
just-
getting louder and louder and louder, and the only thing you can do is just, duck down, because you don't want to get hit in the head with it,
That
At
particular
first, I thought it was a
show-
raccoon
Yeah,
or something up there.
4 or 5 of us did it, and only 3 of us actually saw something coming at us, so it wasn't like,
Yeah,
Okay, I was just
Yeah, there was
curious. I
definitely-
thinking,
Yeah.
I don't know what's up there,
that's Mayflower.
whether, kids hid up there, or, people hid up there.
Yeah.
I couldn't explain it, because we never really got any EVPs. It was
No.
always just the rushing.
No,
We've
because
actually
we-
had people go up in there. I wouldn't go up in there. There's no way.
No,
I'll
there's
stick my head.
too much.
I'm not going up
That-
there. Yeah, I want it out.
One of Bob's favorite things to do, by the way, that if you don't know that, or saw what he did, he's like, hey, go stick your head up in that. And then shut it off.
I try to keep your mind open,
Because I
you know?
think we
I
got
don't want you to
Sabrina to
know
do
that
that.
it's
It was
coming.
like, hey, wait, here's your next victim.
Yeah.
We just played that episode.
Yeah, it was Saturday night, that's why, I just watched it yesterday, so I was, that was that question.
Yeah, I think at one point we had a camera up there, and the camera actually fell over
Fell
from the
over.
vibration. That's how close it would get, Yeah, it was pretty crazy. We actually did an event there,
Yeah.
and we were taking people up on there, and they were experiencing it. But not all of them.
No.
Like only certain people
Again,
would experience it.
Hmm.
That's pretty cool. You refreshed my memory. There's
Yeah.
been so many things that happened.
Thank you for the question, but it's actually one that my wife and I have been going back and forth about. What is the difference between a sensitive, a psychic, and a medium? In fact, I think we call you. What's the difference between the 3? I mean, I refer to a sensitive as a generic. I've always called Bella sensitive because I'm not quite sure.
I think a sensitive is all-inclusive of any different sensitivity. So those who hear, or those who see, or those who feel. And also those people who, I believe personally that everybody has some sort of gift, talent, or ability. It's just up to you if it makes you comfortable, that you want it to grow, or you want to turn it down, or you're just like, yeah, I do that and I'm okay with it. But I think that's kind of where sensitivity falls, especially after even some of the most insensitive people that I know, after they're experiencing different things in the paranormal, all of a sudden they're just like, yeah, I felt something in there. Like, you what? Because they wanted to deny it at first or didn't recognize it at first. So I think that can grow. I always say, really generic definition-wise, psychic health is like general health, career decision-making, upcoming events, foretelling in life, and the medium is the part that communicates with those on the other side. So that's, I don't know what you want better, but that's kind of.
Yeah, so, because I've seen all my life, right, labels keep changing, and this is what I said at the beginning, and that's why I asked the question, because in the 70s, it really was called evil. It really was. I'm old. And in the, what is it, 70s, and then 80s, you're sensitive, 90s, you're psychic, and now you're a medium. Everyone's got different gifts, and the gifts, it's hard to label a gift, and I think people want to put labels on things. So I would agree with the way that Kelly's interpreted the different types of labeling, but that's why I put it in there, because I have a difficult time saying I'm a medium, I really do. One time I said I see dead people, and my nephew goes, "Those are zombies." So then I'm like, "Well, what do I see?" So, you know, so it's really hard. So I try to just say that I see spirits, human spirits, I see non-human entities, and I try not to label myself, because it's so difficult. There's so many things that are out there, and labels is a hard thing. That's why I asked that question, because it's so difficult.
It is, and I think some people that do it have different sensitivities or do experience or have more than one gift that they're embracing. It's hard to put a label on yourself. Or for some people who aren't as familiar or are just kind of getting into it, or all of a sudden start opening up and experiencing something they never had before, they don't know the label.
Yeah.
So they can say, you know, I've met with other people that are just like, oh, you know what, I don't know why, but I just smell the, if they would tell me what different smells, well, that's a gift.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, they didn't know. So I think sometimes those labels that they'll say can be confusing, or they can be kind of isolating, depending on who you're trying to relate to.
Yeah.
It gives them an idea of what you do, but it's not really, you know, one person who emphasizes one gift really does probably a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah,
And
I have
those who,
several, and
right,
I'm sure you have several.
and those who don't emphasize them at all probably do as well. So it's very kind of subjective depending on who you're talking to and their point of view, I would say.
The reason I asked is, we were talking about, and it was probably a question I got from somebody, or that Angel got, and it was about a medium. Now, I always thought of a medium as somebody who talks to the dead. Well, then I looked it up. It doesn't mean that anymore, and that's why I asked that
It
question.
doesn't, it's so
Right.
hard. It's like, I do psychometry, I can touch things and tell you exactly who touched it, what they thought, blah, blah, blah. What do you call that? You know, it's like, so it's so hard to label, and there's a lot of people that go up, and especially at these conferences, I'm a medium, let me tell you, oh, I see your father on this side of you, and all this stuff. Is like, how do you just say that you're a medium? There's like, it's very confining.
And now there's even, I mean, that term's even expanded to environmental media.
Yeah.
So like people who go in and read the place, well,
Okay.
a lot of people who read do that anyway. So they just don't say it as a title. So that title's an ever-changing,
Yeah,
you know,
it's
an
a-
ever-changing thing too.
Last question, and this is for everybody. We all investigate in different ways for different things. What's your most important tool as an investigator, whether it's a piece of equipment or whatever?
Mine.
As an equipment builder and inventor, what is your most
The equipment. God, I would have to say your senses. I mean, yourself. You know, your eyes, your hearing, your nose. That's probably your most important thing.
Kelly?
My answer's never simple.
I know.
So, okay, so I would say protection, no matter what form you feel most comfortable using, in no matter what sort of investigation you're doing. Education and into what you're doing, so you're naturally a little more protected. And I say the whole purpose of any reading or investigation is validation. So that's sometimes why I say, you know, as far as teams who I work with and things, it's kind of neat, and Bella knows too, like, it's kind of neat when the person who is the sensitive or the sensitives in the group can pick up something that the equipment's validating, and can pick up the same thing that the client is saying that is happening. That kind of brings everything full circle. So I have 3 questions.
Do you separate yourself? Like when you work with a team? Or do
You mean
know
general, general?
everything? Yeah.
No, I prefer to know as little as
Just kinda
possible.
put it
I
like
usually do a
what we
walkthrough
We
first,
just kind
and
of
then
pick the
know as
medium
little
in the
as
sense that,
possible.
we put them with another group and don't tell them anything. And then we try to mesh everything.
I prefer to go in first with one or two members of the group into the place first because I can kind of pick up initial things and then kind of share those with maybe the leader of the group, that sort of thing, and then go back in if they ask me to later on. But I like to know as little as possible.
To believe in yourself. I believe in myself. I don't care if someone tells me I'm not seeing something. I don't care if someone says you're just a crap crazy woman. I don't care.
She cleaned that up.
I know, yeah, I was gonna go down that. But I believe in myself. And I think that you guys have to believe in yourself. If you're seeing something, just believe in it. Do not let someone talk you out of it, just because you have seen a full body person there and someone goes, I don't see it, I don't feel anything, equipment's not doing anything. Well, it's your problem, not mine, you know. So always believe in yourself. I think that's my biggest thing.
For me, it's the same thing Bob said, your senses. When you're out there in the pitch dark woods and that, you can't really rely on your eyesight, so you gotta rely on your hearing, sense of smell, and all the other senses.
Right, and Google Maps.
And Google.
That helps. That helps out. And we're a very, very poor Bigfoot group, so we'll gladly say a thermal camera if anyone wants to donate.
Well, there's one thing that is like sometimes when I go out and there's some blind spots that the internet just completely goes out, so Google
Yeah,
Maps.
that's up there in Sullivan County, up in Red Rock there.
Pine Barrens.
Right
Nothing.
there.
Nothing, you're on your own up there.
There is,
And then
you
you-
have no Google Maps, so you gotta either I have a map of my own or I'm screwed.
And then that's when you wander up into Ricketts Glen, about 8 miles from your vehicle, wondering, how did we get here? And getting to the park ranger's office right before they close to get a ride back.
Yeah.
You're gonna have them give you a ride back in the back of the car.
Yeah, true story.
Mine is being a detective, and I like to, when you find evidence, if you try, and you guys can test this, if you try to disprove it and you can't, then you really have something, because then you can take it to the skeptic, challenge them to disprove it. And when they can't, then they have to be like, oh, all right, well, maybe. So it validates. So I like to be objective, and is the law enforcement background. I mean, you really take it, that piece of evidence, and you try to destroy it, and not literally, but try to destroy it, and then you have something.
Do you guys have anything before we wrap up?
Thank you guys for coming.
Yes, thank you.
You've accomplished what I can never do.
That is quiet. See? You're not talking.
I want to
investigate.
First,
And I think questions should
I want
be
to,
addressed.
I want to
Right
thank.
down the hill.
I just want to know if you ever go to Gettysburg, take me.
Oh. Goes back to that application you were talking
Yeah. First of all, I want to thank my friends. These are some of my best friends in the world, and I want to thank them for taking time out of their busy lives and coming down and spending some time with us.
Aw, come on.
But seriously, thanks, guys. You're always there for us, and you're going to see each one of them next year. They don't know that yet. We haven't talked dates yet. I'm sure it'll cost me, but we'll work on it.
I like the other year when you used to have pizza here.
You got pizza?
You used to have pizza here.
Oh, we've never gotten pizza. Oh my God.
Don't invite Jason. Especially after that little dance. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it. And you guys, this is the end for 2017. I will check on those who were having problems with their email. Please put it down again, and what I'll do is I'll send you one separately just to make sure it goes through. And watch for stuff next month and I'll probably do as much of a schedule as I can for all of 2018, right? 2018? All right. Thank you very much. Did you see somebody walk up and down there? Somebody walking up and down? Not yet?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, that's my
Yeah,
hint.
don't listen to them.
That's my hint to get out of here.
Just so you know, if they see somebody walking up and down,
When they
pay attention to
start,
them.
when they start pacing, it's time to leave.
Yeah, I know.
We're done.